Hello and welcome to part 2 on how to create a protective wall reinforcement detailing model for a river intake structure. In the previous video, we did the introduction to this course. We discussed on levels and grids. Then we went ahead and placed our structural members. That was the beam, slab, and our concrete walls. In today's video, we shall be placing our rebar at the slab and beam. Let's get started. I will go to the ground level, and from here I will go to the insert tab, and then I'll select import image. I'll go to the working folder, then I will import the image that contains our reinforcement detailing. We can place this image somewhere here, and then using this grip we can resize its size. From here I will drag it down up to somewhere here. So I can select this, then drag it back to change the size. Now with this, we can start to detail our rebar. I will click on the pin so that we don't accidentally move it. It cannot be moved. So if we zoom in, notice that we have our protective wall base plan reinforcement details provided. For this tutorial, I'm going to guide you on how to read also the structural reinforcement from existing drawings. And for this, we shall be inputting our Rebar sets one by one. So this document has provided us with the protective wall base plan reinforced concrete details. And we can start from this first Rebar set here. We see that it goes by 2 times 16, Y12, 38, 02, 150, B1, T1. To interpret this, the 2 times 16 represents the layers. So we see here that we have the B1 and T1 layers. So that represents 2 for the bottom and top, and 16 is the quantity of rebar in each set. So now the bottom part will have 16 and the top 16. Y12 is for the bar type, 38 is for the shape code, 02 is for the bar mark, 150 is for spacing. B1, T1 can be set as description or comments. So if you go with this one up to this point, now once we are in the drawing, notice that we have this line that has the dimensioning like this from here. So this rebar set will span from here up to this point here. So this is the span of the rebar set, and the actual rebar is this other line represented by 2 dots at the end. So this is our actual rebar for this set, this one which has 2 dots at the end, and this is its tag. This other line shows where it spans. So for this, we see that it has a bar mark of 02. We can zoom at the schedule so as to see the other details of this bar mark. Below here, we have the structural rebar schedule, and notice that we are at base slab. For the first bar mark is 02, the one which we are working on. And if we go along it, we see that this schedule also provides us with the A and C values. So we are going to make sure that what we are designing will correspond to the existing schedule. So for that, we can get started to detail our slab. So I'll zoom here. Now we can start by going to the View tab, then select Section Command. I'll start the first section from this point here up to this point here. Then we can drag it back somewhere up to here. Then I'll click outside. Now I can double click on the section head to open it. And at this section, I'll start by changing the scale to 1:25. I'll set to 1:25. I'll then set the detail to fine and the graphics display to wireframe. So before we start to place our reinforcements, there's a step which we'll need to do. So for that, I'll also need to go back to the document so as to discuss it. From the general notes here, if we zoom at note number 12, we see that the cover to main reinforcement in bases and wall is 50 and slab and beam is 40. For the rebar layers, T1 is here, and at this side we'll have T2. At the bottom, B2 is above B1. So the most exterior layer, or the layer near to the cover, is the layer 1. Okay? If it is at the top, it is T1. If it is at the bottom, it's B1. And the interior layer is the 2 layer. So we have T2 and B2. So while we are going to be designing, this is very important, but I'll explain it once we start to place the reinforcements. And also we have at note 7, we have the labeling of the reinforcement. So 18 is the quantity, Y12 is the bar type, 20 is the shape code, 44 is the bar mark, 150 is for spacing, and then we have these other descriptions. B is for bottom, then top, near face, far face, each face, alternately placed, staggered, and U-bars. So with this, we can now go back to Revit. We'll now start by defining our concrete cover. So I'll select this beam, and we remember that the cover for beam and slab was 40. So from here, under structural, here, so we'll set the cover at the top. We're going to change to 40. It's already at 40. For the bottom side, since the bottom is a base, we're going to set it at 50. And for the other side, we can set it to 40. Then hit apply. I will click outside, then select the slab. And I will provide the same cover settings for the slab. So at the slab, so the cover at the top, we're going to give it a 40. At the bottom, we are going to give it a 50. And for the other, we're going to give 40. Then I'll hit apply. Click outside to deselect. Now we can highlight and select our walls like this. See that we have 3 walls. And for the walls, we're going to set a cover of 50 at all sides. So for the exterior 50, interior 50, and other 50. And now we hit apply. Now if we click outside, our rebar cover for our structural elements have been placed correctly. So again, we'll go to the ground level. Now we can look at the rebar details again before we start. So we notice that here, the bar will be from this end up to this end. The bar mark is 02, shape code 38, and spacing is 150. So I'll go to section 1. And from here, we can now start to place our rebar. Go to Structure tab, then select Rebar command. I'll press OK. And now from here, we have the Rebar shape browser. So if I zoom like this to scroll it, these are the basic shapes provided by the Revit template. However, we can import our British standard shape codes. So I'll go to the Insert tab, then Load Family. From here, I'm going to browse to my working folder where I've saved my shapes. Then I will open the folder, go to the Rebar shapes, select one, click Ctrl A to select all, and then I'll press Open. So in case you'll need these files, I will provide them in my Patreon page. Kindly consider becoming a patron to have access to all drawing and working files from this channel. Now, once all our families have been imported, if we now scroll through the Rebar shape browser, we now have the British standard shape codes. So I'll start by selecting shape code 21. And from here under Modify Rebar, ensure that Expand to Host is enabled. We'll work on the current or near cover reference. And the placement, we can place it to the parallel to work plane. So when you hover over here, now the slab here, if I select current work plane, and I hover over the slab, we see that we can now place the rebar. I'll place one here, then go to the upper cover and place the other rebar. I'll press Escape to exit. Now we can select both rebar sets. I will select both the rebar sets, and under the properties, we can first change the values of A and C from here to 150. And also for C, I'm going to set to 150. Then I'll hit apply. Also again, we can scroll down, and under Identity Manager, Comments, we're going to give the comment description of B1, T1. Under the mark, we're going to give both this rebar a mark of 02 as provided from the drawings. Then hit apply. Then OK here. Next, we can go to layout. I will drop. Then set to maximum spacing. And we can give our spacing value here of 150. And if we press enter, now notice that each rebar set has a quantity of 16. So if we go now to the ground level, I'll go to the ground level and notice that this rebar set spans from here up to this point here. So if we zoom back, we see that this rebar set spans from here up to this point here. I'll click outside. Okay, the next thing we can do, we can go back to our section view. We go to section. Notice that when now we select this one, since it is at the B1 T1 layer, this means that this rebar will be it will be near the cover. So this is the B1 T1 layer. The other rebar set now will be placed above and below this one. You can select this rebar, and now in Revit 2026, we have this start and end of bar. If I click here, notice that our A will now become this side, and this will be C, which is for the endpoint. So I'll press escape, and we can now save the project. So from here, I'm going to save my project here, and we can name it as Rebar Details. Go to Options, then set the backup to 1. Now I'll hit Save. Before we proceed with the next Rebar Set, we can go to the 3D view, and from here, I can select on any rebar, right click, then I'll go to select all instances visible in view. Now under here, we can go to the view visibility states. You can go here under view visibility states. Now we can enable to view unobscured in 3D. Then I'll press OK. If we zoom in, we can change our detail to coarse, so as to see the 3D rebar. Okay, we can set it to fine. So if you notice, these rebars will have like a clash interference because the upper and the lower one, they are going inside each other here. So there's various ways of fixing this. We can do it by going to the ground level plan. And from here, we can choose to go with edit bars. Now we'll start with this one at the end. Now we can move it. So I'm just going to do for a few so as to save time. So we'll select the last one, and then I'll select move. Now I'll move it from that endpoint to this other endpoint. Next, I'll select the next one. Then I'll select move. I can pick from this point up to there. And I'll hit finish. Now if you go to 3D view, you see that by moving, it minimizes the clash. So that means that now these two sets, they do not interfere with one another like the rest. So this is one method of fixing that. Zoom like this. Now we see them here. These are the two bars which you have moved, and now you see that they don't interfere like these other ones. So you can go like that, moving each top bar of the top rebar set so that it does not interfere with the lower layer. Next, I'll go to section again. And from here, we see that the presentation will still be the same in section, but in 3D, for the bars that we have moved, we see that they are not interfering with each other. So I'll go to the ground level. And after here, we can zoom back to our drawing here. Now, since we have placed this first rebar set, we can type DL for detail line. And I can cancel out this first rebar set. So we'll go to the next rebar set here. We see that it has 2 times 3 by 12, shape code 37, bar mark 11, 200, B2, T2. And if you go with that line up to where there's a huge dot, we see that the rebar will span from here up to here, and the rebar itself is this one here, starting this point up to somewhere here. So with this, we can go to our schedule. We see that it is Bamak 11. So I'll go to my schedule here, and under 11 for the base slab, we see that we have an A value of 130 and B is 1745. So with that, we can go and place our rebar. So at the ground level, we can now create another section. Go to View tab, then I'll select Section, and I can create a section from this point up to this point here. Now we can drag this one back up to somewhere here. We click outside, then double click on the section head to open. I will start by changing the scale to 1:25. Then I'll set the detail to fine and the graphics display to wireframe. Now from here, we are going to set it, the new Rebar set, as according to the schedule. So I'm going to go to Structure tab, then I'll select Rebar. From here now we can select shape code 11, and I'll place one like this above, and the other one you can press space to change. So the other one I'll place it here like this, then I'll press escape twice. So if I select this one, the top one, notice that we have here A and we have B here. If we press escape, then we select the lower one. This is B and this is A. So to change the lettering, you just need to click at the end symbol here. And now this will be A, this will be B. So I'll select both rebars. After that here, we can go to the properties and we can change the values of A. From the schedule, it was 130 and the value of B was 1745. So the value of B here was 1745. I'll press apply. We can then go to identity data. Going to set the comment for B2, T2, and for the mark, we're going to give it the mark value of 11 as given in the document. I'll press apply, then we press OK for the duplicate mark values. So with both the two Rebar sets selected, we can go to Edit Constraints with both of them selected. We can select on Edit Constraints, and now since this is the B2 T2 layer, I'm going to select this here and give a distance of -12. Then press enter. And now we can click on finish. So there's one thing which I forgot to do. So this rebar set selected, notice that the rebar is 13M. I will drop, then select Y12. Now with our rebar as Y12, and we have changed this constraint, we see that now this is the B1 layer, this is the T1 layer, and this is T2 layer. So with that, we can go and edit the value of A again from here. We set it to 130. Now hit apply. I will now go and set the layout here. Give it a maximum spacing of a value of 200 as provided. So we'll give it a spacing value of 200, then press enter. Now if we go to our ground level, we have the other Rebar Set here. So I'll click escape. I will select the Rebar Set. Now we can change its span. So from here, I will click at this endpoint, then I'll drag it up to here. I will select this other endpoint, then I'll drag it up to the interior of this beam here. So now next, we can select the other Rebar Set, this other Rebar Set. We select the endpoint, and we drag it to the other Rebar Set. And then we'll also drag this other end up to this point here. Now we see that the quantity is 3, spacing is 200. And if we zoom at the drawing, we see that it is this Rebar Set and it spans in between the beam here, just as we have detailed it. So this is our second Rebar Set. It has a mark of 11, spacing of 200, and it is B2, T2. So with that, we can go to here. You see we have placed our comments B2, T2, and the mark is 11. Spacing is 200. So with that, I'll press escape, then type DL, and we can cancel out this second Rebar Set. I'll press escape twice to exit. You can go to the next Rebar Set. And the next Rebar Set we have is this one for bar mark 05. If we go along with the line, we see that it spans from here up to here where the beam is, and the actual rebar is this one here, from this point up to this point. So this is the actual rebar, and here is where it spans. So for that, we can proceed to place this Rebar Set. So I'll zoom out, and still using this section, I'll just use it and I'll drag it here. Now we can drag it up to somewhere here, or even can just put it here, then drag its endpoint up to here. I'll click outside. Now if we go to this section, till section 2, we can place the Rebar Set. So to place the Rebar Set, you can start by selecting the slab, then select Rebar command. I'll select shapecode 21. Now here I'll go to the slab. I'll place one at the bottom cover, and I'll place the other one at the top cover. Then press escape twice. Now we can select the 2 Rebar Sets, and with both of them selected, I can go to the ground level to look at the details. So with the 2 Rebar selected, I will just zoom here. So my mouse is misbehaving, so forgive me. So we'll be here. And from here, we can go to the A and these values, okay, for 05. We did not confirm it at the schedule. So we can go to the schedule to confirm. Oh, sorry. So 05, we have the value of A and C as 130. So we'll come here at A, we give it a value of 130, and C, we're going to give it a value of 132. See that our B is at 2220, this one is at 2210. Sorry, 22 2200 here. For 05, 2200. So sometimes this can be because of rounding off of reinforcement numbers, which I'm going to show you. So after that, we see that the bar mark was 05, which we are going to place here. 05, then hit apply. And for the comment, we hit OK for duplicate mark values. The comment was under B2, T2. So I'm going here to comment. I'll drop, then select B2, T2. So under comment, select B2, T2, then hit apply. So this is for this set. And if we go to the drawing, yes, it is at B2, T2, and a spacing of 200. So we'll go to layout, maximum spacing, then give a spacing value of 200. Then press enter. Now if we go to our drawing, I will press escape. Now we can select the Rebar Set. Okay, I'll select any Rebar Set, this one. Then I'll drag its endpoint. Let me drag the endpoint. So we'll select this one, the endpoint here. And we can drag it. Let's first drag it up to somewhere here. I will click outside. Then I'll select the other Rebar Set. And we can drag it up to here. And now we see that we have the second Rebar Set provided here. So for this one, I can press escape. If I type DL, notice that it should be at a distance of 40 from this grid. I'll just do something like this. So as to snap it to this line. So the distance of 40, we can now select. I will select on any rebar at this point. And if I zoom at here, we'll zoom. We can highlight it. And then we can place it somewhere where it snaps to the detail line here. Then I can select the other Rebar Set. Then align it to the previously moved Rebar Set, which was this one. We'll align it to the midpoint like that. And so now we have our third Rebar Set in place. Remember that we can clear the clashes at the 3D by selecting the Rebar Set, then go to Edit Bars. Okay, so for this section, let's go to section 2. So in section 2, I'll select the top layer. Can change the end to make here also A. Can change it by clicking here to make this one A and this side C. Now because this was at the B2 T2 layer, I will select both Rebar Sets, then go to Edit Constraints. Now we can select on this handle, go to the dimension here and give a value of -12. Then we can press Finish. Now we see that the bars have been placed correctly, and this one is above or below this one. So there will be no interference at the 3D. If we go to 3D view, or still at shape. This is Rebar 13M. I should have set it to Y12. So I'll go there, select all instances visible in view. Okay, this is for 13M. So I'll drop here, then set them all to Y12. Now we can right click, select all instances visible in view. Now we see that the rebars are 6. I'll right click, we can go to the view visibility states here. And then from here, we can select view unobscured in 3D and press OK. Now we see that we have the other rebar sets here. If I press escape, I can select this set and we can rotate about it. We see that the rebars we are starting to place them, and by setting the constraints to -12, that helps. You see that the bars are not passing inside each other, like the endpoint here. To fix for the end, the best solution I found was for editing bars, then moving the bar one by one, so that the values of A and B and C for the top and bottom layers will be the same. So we'll go to the ground level and I'll press escape. So we can go to the next Rebar set. So we have done up to 05. I can type DL for detail line. Then we can strike this one out like this. Then press escape. So the next Rebar set is this one, which is 04. And we see that it spans from here up to this point, just before the beam. So it will span from this point up to this point, and the actual rebar is represented by this other line, so the rebar will be from this point up to this other endpoint here, as seen, the long one. So this one is shape. So the bar mark is 04. B2 T2 spacing is 200, and the quantity is 10. So we'll have 10. Shape, the mark is 04, spacing is 200, the layer is B2 T2. So with that, we can also zoom at this section, and you can see that the 04 is at this layer for B2, because this is 04 B2 here. So with that, I can proceed back to the drawing and we can define a new section. I'll go to the view tab, then I'll select section, and I can create a section from here up to here. We can flip it using this. Can flip it. Now I'll move it behind, then cut this one. I'll send it back up to the drawing somewhere here. Now if we double click on that section, can change the scale from here to 1:25, and then we can change the display to fine and the graphics to wireframe. I can select the slab, then select rebar command here. Still with shapecode 21 selected, ensure that expand to host is enabled, current work plane and parallel to work plane also has been enabled. Now we can go zoom at the lower cover and place, go to the top cover and place the other one. I'll press escape to exit. We go to the ground level again to look at the details. Notice that this is 04, bar mark 04. So we can go to the schedule, and from the schedule here we see that 04, the A and C values are 130, B is 9300. So I'll go to the section. I will select both Rebar sets, and we can go to the properties so as to set the values. So the value of A is 130 and C also 130. We go to the identity data and we give the comments as B2, T2, and the bar mark as 04. So I'll press apply. Then we press OK to ignore the duplicate mark values. Now, since these rebars are at the B2, T2 layer, we are going to have to move them using the edit constraints. So I'll select edit constraints. Then you can hover over this handle, click here, then set to -12. Okay, for the properties again, I will need to set the type to Y12, like that. Now I can hit finish. We'll need to go back to our properties so as to update the value of A and C. So I'll select A, and then I'll update it to 130, and we can select C, and we can update it to 130. Hit apply. So we have our A and C values updated. The next step is to set our layout. I'll drop, then set to maximum spacing. And we had a spacing of 200. We'll give a spacing of 200 here, then press enter. See that the quantity is at 13. So if we go to the ground level, we'll need to go and set the span. So we can zoom back at the drawing model here. I will hit escape. I can select this Rebar set. Now for this one, we can move it in up to somewhere here. I'll press escape. Select the other Rebar set, and then we can align it to the previously moved Rebar set, which was this one here. So we'll align it to its midpoint. And now we see that we have the quantity as 10. Because even from the drawing, it was spanning from this part here up to here, just below, before the beam. So if we go like this, you can zoom at the drawing. And we see that this Rebar set spans from here up to here, just before the beam. The shape, the bar mark is 04, as we have input here at the identity data. The spacing is 200 as seen. Quantity is 10 here, 2 times 10. One for the top layer and the other one for the bottom. And B2, T2, we have indicated here as the comments. So with that, I can press escape. Now we can type DL for detail line, and we can cancel out this one here. I'll hit escape to exit. So the next Rebar set we have is this one. So we see that it is 2 times 33 by 12, 38 for the shape code, and the bar mark is 03. Spacing is 150, B1 T1 layer. And if we go with it, we see that it spans from here, just before where the edge of the 400 was. So it spans from here up to this point, that is the span. And if we go along with that line and we find this line with a dot, the other line represents the actual rebar for this rebar set. So we'll place our rebar like this. And remember, the span is from here up to this point. So to do so, we need to go to our drawing again. And this time, instead of creating another section view, I'll select this section. Then I can drag it below up to somewhere here to create this section for this portion here. So while this section view is here, I'll double click to open it. And we can now place the other rebar. So for that, again, need to confirm from the schedule here. So this we are working on Barmark 03. So for Barmark 03, we go to the schedule. So for 03, it's here. We see that A and C is 150, B is 2210. So A and B is 150. So we'll go to this section. So we are working under section 2, or it was 1. So under section 1, we'll select the slab, then go to rebar. Okay, for now, can ignore to save. Now with the rebar selected, this time I will change the rebar type from here to Y12 from 13M. Now we can select our shape code here, 21, and we can place our rebar within this here and here. And notice that because the previous, this rebar set, we had constrained it, now for this set, it has been placed where it should, without interfering with this other rebar set. I'll press escape to exit. We can select both these rebar sets for the top and bottom layer. And now we can edit the parameter from the properties. So the value of A was 150 and C was 152. We can scroll to the mark, give it a value of 03. And for the comment, it was B1 T1. B1 T1, and then we hit apply. Press OK to ignore the duplicate mark values. So with this one also, we have updated this one. So another way to fix the clash in 3D, which I can just briefly show you, but before, let us finish up with this set. So under the layout, we go back to ground level. It is important to place the correct or the specified spacing. So under this one, the spacing is 150. So I'll drop, then set to maximum spacing. And from here, can give a maximum spacing value of 150. Then press enter. See that the quantity is 64 for the two rebar sets. So I'll press escape. Now we can select on any. We'll pick on the first one like that. And from here, we'll need to change the span. So from here, the top one, I will select it, then drag it up to this point here. I'll click outside, select the other Rebar set, then drag it to align to the previously moved here. So if we click outside, you see that now this Rebar set starts from this point here. Can select it again, and then we adjust the lower side too. So I'll select it. I will hold here and then drag it and align it to this point or this other rebar here. Click outside. Then you can select the next rebar set again. Now we can drag it and you can place it at the midpoint and horizontal of this other one. Now we see that we have a quantity is 32. So we'll need to fix it to 33. For that, I'll press escape, type DL for detail line, come this way at a distance of 40 up to here. Then I'll press escape. So if I select on this any of the rebar set here, I will zoom. Then I'll snap it or just make sure that it is almost at the 40 mark where we have done the detail line. So I'll press escape. Then I'll select the other rebar set. And I will also align it to this other previous here. We can do the same for the upper side. So for this upper side too, should be at a distance of 40 from this one. So I'll type DL for detail line. Then now we can start from the endpoint of that grid at a distance of 40. I'll press escape. Now we select any rebar set. Then we can align it to. We can align it here. I will place it somewhere there. And now we see that this quantity is 33. I press escape. I select this other rebar set. You see from the properties that the quantity is 32, but if we select it, then align it to this other rebar set, the quantity is now 33. So I will zoom out. And if you go here to our drawing, you see that it is 2 times 33, which is okay now. B1, T1. So if I go to the properties, you see that it is under the layer B1, T1, and it is 03. So with this also we have completed to detail this, the last rebar set here. So I can cancel it out. And since this drawing was symmetric, you'll notice that the last, this 1, 2, 3, the last 3 rebar details are the same as the first 3 for this side. So we can quickly finish up this project by copying or mirroring these rebar sets to this other side. So I can do so by, I'll first come here. Then we can do DL for detail line. Start at this endpoint of grid 5 up to this other endpoint of grid 4. Press escape once. Now still with the detail line command, start another detail line at the midpoint, going this way, any distance, then I'll press escape twice. Now, since we have established the midpoint of this drawing, I will start from this section. So I'll double click this section. Now from here, what we are interested is these two rebar sets. This one, I'll hold Control, then select the lower one. Now with these two rebar sets selected, I will go to the properties, and I've seen something here, 118. So I'll need to update this to 130, and also the value of C to 130. Then hit apply. If we scroll down, we see that this is Bamak 05. So with these two rebar sets selected, I can go to the ground level, and from the ground level, now we can select mirror peak axis, and we can mirror it to the other side. So after we have done mirror, we see that we now have this rebar set here. So we can highlight and select both these rebar sets like this. Now with both of them selected here, I can adjust the value of the mark here to 05. Then hit apply. Then OK. So the next rebar shape we are going to mirror is this, the other one here, this set. So we can use this section. We select it, then we move it up to somewhere here. Then I'll press escape. Now if I open this section view, I can select these two rebar set, this one, hold Control, select this, the bottom one. With now these two rebar sets selected, we can go to ground level, and from the ground level, notice that it is this rebar set here. So I'll go to my identity data and recall 11. So this one will be mirrored to this other side here. It will be mirrored here. So with the two rebar sets selected, select on mirror pick axis command. Then we can pick this as our axis. We see that we have that rebar set detailed here as well. So this is the second one which we have mirrored. So now we can finish up by mirroring this last section, which is this one here. So I'll select on this section, then I'll drag it above here. I'll press escape. We can double click to open it. Now we can select this, hold Control, select the lower one. Okay, before this, there was something which I almost forgot. So I'll go to section. Okay, sorry. So I'll go to my ground level. There's something important we need to set. I'll press escape first. So if I select this, the bar mark was 11, if I'm not wrong. If you go to here the bar mark is 11. So we'll also need to do the same for this side here. So I'll come here, highlight like this. Go to filter. I'll uncheck the framing. Then I'll press OK. Now for this rebar set here, we should also input the mark value of 11. So with that rebar set selected, go to identity data and set the mark to 11 and hit apply. I'll press OK to proceed. Now with our mark value updated, we can go back to the other section to mirror the last rebar set. So I'll press escape. We can go back to this section view, double click to open. Now we can select on this Rebar Set, the top and the bottom one. Can go to our ground level, and you see that the mark is under mark 02. So from here, while in the ground level, while at the ground level, okay, open the ground level view. So these are the required bars. So with these two Rebar sets selected and the mark is 02, we can now use the mirror pick axis, and I will mirror it to this, to the lower side like this. And here below, we now have our other Rebar set. And just like this, we have completed to detail this slab as detailed as provided by the PDF drawing. So I'll highlight and select this, the mirrored sets, and then I'll go to the mark and I'll give it a mark of 02. Now we can hit apply. Now if you go to the 3D view, then I'll press OK. If you now go to the 3D view, I will select any structural rebar, then right click, select all instances visible in view. Then from here we can go to the properties, and under view visibility states. Here we have view visibility states here. We can click on edit, then view unobscured in 3D. Then press OK. Now if we zoom out at our slab, you'll notice that we have the complete slab detailing for this slab. So this has been part 2 of this tutorial series. So kindly watch the next video on how we are going to place the reinforcement on this beam, then the walls. This has been part 2 of this tutorial series. So kindly watch the next part, where we are going to start by detailing our beam, then walls. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.